Welcome to Crosstalk, and today we want to talk about something very, very important. This nation has been going through a conversation and a political season of turmoil and seeming unrest. And we have reached a place where we are having a national dialogue. And so today we want to ask ourselves, is there a national dialogue or are we wasting time? And I have a very special person today here, Caleb Ratemo, who is a governance expert, he's a political commentator, political instructor, a reporter. He has done all kinds of things. So we'll call you governance expert and political consultant. Karibu sana.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, Ratemo, tell us, where did this whole thing start going wrong? Where did the rain start beating us? How are we at the table discussing political things as Azimio and Kenya Kwanza?
Ideally, and that's where I wonder. Our country has been all the time has been in the political mode.
Yes.
And we realize that we even ask ourselves whether are we in an electioneering mood?
Perpetual.
Is it perpetual?
Perpetual
all the
electioneering.
way, because that is how we live. And when you ask politicians, they tell you, no, that's our business, and we have to ensure that we keep the ball rolling.
Yes.
You talk about the debate, the current debate that we have right now.
Yes.
And you realize that the political undertones have got its own history.
Correct.
And by the way, it could not have been even better.
Yes.
Than the way it is, because it has to shape the 2027 politics.
So we are already looking at 2027.
We've started. You see, even I saw some comment in one of the dailies that the president is like he's preparing for 2027, and you see even some of the members of parliament and his own confidence have been saying that, no, wait, we even want to remove that clause of 10 years for the president and have him in perpetuity. So in essence, what we have is that our politics, the way we have framed the politics of this country has been in a way that is how it should be.
It never resolves.
It's never resolved.
And
because
never settles.
what will you say? What will be the debate if we resolve all these things?
So relevance,
we have to leave something to live with tomorrow.
So relevance is couched around conflict.
Of course, yes. And you realize, if you contrast the Right Honorable Raila Odinga's politics, you can realize that even from the times of Nyayo, and 1997, you see the NDP Kanu Maja, you come to 202 and saying, no, Kibaki Tosha. You move and realize that after a short time, there was now the real politics that started because of crossing the roads, and to the 207, and just, very well what happened. Come to 2013, the constitution here, the bananas, the oranges, the what, and you see, it has been the debate that has been ongoing.
Yeah.
Remember, the way our constitution is situated actually is what is really most of these politicians have been clinging on, saying that, no, wait a minute, this winner-takes-it-all thing is going to affect this country. And most of these, even civil organizations, have come up and saying that there should be maybe some modalities that have to be taken into account, like having rotational presidency, for instance, like having maybe 5 years each, or 10 years, or having something they call an agreement. An agreement that, no, for presidents, let's have a leadership that is really elected by some few people, or even parliament. Yeah.
So the conversation around the constitution is still going on.
It is very heavily, by the, because even we realize the way we have the office that they are talking about, of even having the office of the opposition, the opposition having his own set office for him to operate, and well funded by the government. You see, it's just something that is really that has a bearing on even the constitution that we have.
So now, when we look at the current what you call national dialogue, Kalonzo on one side and Ishungwa on the other side, what are the issues? Why have we reached here? What are the issues that they are discussing there?
Ideally, remember, this was a clarion call that most of the members, interested members, even the international community and our churches here, through NCCK and other organizations, came and told them that, no, you need to sit down and have a discussion concerning these complaints and concerns that are being raised by this Azimio One Kenya Alliance. And so therefore, you talk about that, it means that they have to agree now. They have agreed, because the president had to even bend his
hard stance.
Yeah, his hard stance, and at least accommodate this group. But had to do that by having, you know, you don't send anyone there. You send your confidence and people who will work
Who
for
are
you.
close to your agenda.
Who are close to you. You remember even the period they had the likes of Aaron Kenan, and the debate was, no, we cannot trust him because he cannot push the interests of the party there. And so this is a hot potato. You realize that we have had Azimio One Kenya Alliance under Kalonzo, and this is now Kimani Ichung'wah trying to sit down. The Bomas meetings, I realized that the other day when they were starting the discussions, this Kimani Ichung'wah said, no, we can't go to big hotels and we say that we are fighting for the hustlers, because that is common mwananchi's money that is going to be used there. Yeah. So why can't we go to an open place, where somewhere that we cannot use a lot of money? And the issues here, you talk about they have laid out a number of issues, and I realized that from the Azimio One Kenya Alliance side, through Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, he said that the discussions are robust, and they believe that in one way or another they will have to reach out an agreement. You talk about an aspect of the cost of living, that the president and his team has stood ground and said, no, we can't. We can't, because it's, number one, maybe it's being addressed elsewhere.
Now we've seen some kind of oxymoron. So from the Bomas, you know, the national dialogue, when they communicate, they look like we're really making progress. But then people get out and go to the political rallies and to the political platforms, and you hear things like, we're going nowhere, these talks are going nowhere, yes. We don't trust you, you guys just talk, but there's nothing that's going to come out of it. Where are we?
This takes me back to even the 2007, 2008 meeting by Kofi Annan, the late Kofi Annan, and even the likes of our former Prime Minister and the late Mzee Kibaki. And when you could see, they could come out, and from the meeting you realize that, these people are together. But wait for the lieutenants to go out there, and you will hear what they will say. I think this is a transition, and come to this time we're talking about Kalonzo and Kimani's team. They have to come. They have to show Kenyans that, by the way, we're working on this thing, and we stand as a unit. But remember, we are politicians also, because we need to champion our agenda, and that's why they have. If you follow keenly, you might realize that those who are talking are not really in the team. And some of them probably, it's politics, and they have to keep the ball rolling, as I said. So by having their colleagues, their people who say whoever speaks, when he speaks, just know the one who is speaking. Yes. And that is what is working. You see a guy like Mheshimiwa Ndindi Nyoro, for example, when he speaks, you will know who is speaking for. Yes. And probably even if our Senator Sifuna, when he speaks, you can know that probably he's representing some interest. And so therefore, that is how politics is, that they have to show a common stance, these are heavy responsibility that has been bestowed upon us, and we need to deliver. But even as we go out there, whatever happens out there probably doesn't have any connotation, any connection with what we're having here.
What is the likelihood of these statements creeping into these talks and either paralyzing or derailing or undermining them altogether?
The case, before I respond to that, the case of the deputy president, for example, coming out clearly and saying, this is going nowhere, and he's been known to be speaking his mind concerning especially his political nemesis of all time. Because remember, even from the time he took office, he said, no, wait a minute, your president, wewe endelea na kazi, I will deal with this. Just leave this other thing for me. Yeah.
So he's speaking for the mountain?
I feel like he's speaking for his own.
On his own accord.
Because of the close connection that the former premier had with the
former president.
Because, you see, he's a bitter man because, number one, when he speaks of, against even the son of our son who was duped by a former prime minister.
Or misled.
He was misled, and that's what he said. And you follow it from that perspective. Realize, Gachagua and Honorable Gachagua and the former president were very close. And by the way, he was his own aide to some extent, and he was his own confidant for quite some time. And when the rain started beating, now he started shifting gears, and the deputy president, the former Material MP then, went through hell. He was saying that, no, I'm happy now that at least this thing that has hung on my neck, on shoulders for quite some time now is over me, and I will have to deliver. Now, going back to the question, in terms of whether are we headed somewhere or not, my view, from where I stand, this is a debate that probably requires more than what we see. In terms of, you talk about these politicians really putting aside their personal intrusion,
interests,
or rather interest, and the way they are intruding into the discussion. And look at the pertinent issues. That for a start, they just sit and agree. Let's see, what are the issues at play? No, let's discuss this. And they agree. We don't expect that, of course. But what I feel is that maybe because of the aspects like having Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, he's a diplomat, and by being sent there because of the hard stance, my view is that Mheshimiwa Raila thought that, no, this is the best person to represent the interests because he doesn't get irritated quickly, and the likes of
he will stay calm.
And
which is why he didn't send, so for instance, Martha Karua,
even Sifuna, even Karua, yes. Because you remember, Kalonzo has been quoted as a diplomat and a soft stance and an easygoing man, and probably the government was happy because they believe that he can be easily bought. Remember the 2007 elections, the Mount Kenya told him, no, through Kibaki, that no, you're number 3. No, just come join us, and we'll give you the vice president position, and he agreed. And probably, this thing I feel has a history.
Is that to say that therefore these talks can be managed remotely? Is that what the deputy president is talking about?
Do you think, in your view, from whatever the politicians are saying, do you feel like even they are talking genuine, that they are genuine in their discussions there? It's just a waste of time, as the DP calls it, because look at the issues. Let's even go a little bit back, and I take you back to when the president was said to have agreed to just have a sit down with Raila. Raila just came out protesting. No, that's not what we agreed. And to Machezo. And that was a serious issue. And they had to go back to the streets. And, it's a cycle. It's a cycle that keeps on. It's a political cycle, for that matter.
So in a sense, even when you look at the shifting agenda, because two major items have been knocked out that have been close to the Azimio,
the
heart of Azimio, which is basically the audit of 2022 elections.
The cost of living.
And the cost of living.
What remains for them that is of significance?
That's a curious question. What do you think?
These are sarcasm, my friend. And you sit down and you see even the stances, the way they are given their stances, they realize that by the president saying, no, anything that I'll agree on anything, but not the cost of living. That is something that I will have to sort out.
You're watching Crosstalk. We are looking at state of the nation, but especially we want to talk about the national dialogue. Are we talking or are we wasting time? Don't go away. We'll be right back.
In a world where women face countless challenges and responsibilities, there emerges a powerful force.
During birth, 2 people are born. The mother, and the baby.
She is a show for women by women.
Does everyone have a purpose?
When they unite as sisters, wives, mothers and daughters, their stories echo the strength that lives within us all.
We always mimic people we hear, you know, who led you on your prayer of faith.
That's how we start building a healthy community.
Tune in to She every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. and repeats every Sunday at 2 p.m.
Why does this thing not go away? So on the one hand, Kenya Kwanza leaders are very insistent that Honorable Raila and the Azimio Brigade want to get into government through the back door. They want appointments. They want. On the other hand, Mheshimiwa Raila and his troop are very insistent that they are not interested. So where's the truth?
You look at, you know, before you look at even the truth, that has got some connections, and you bring it even from what we were talking about, the previous governments. Yeah, the way Honorable Raila has just played his way, and in one way or another found himself right in the middle of decision making. And I had some time they were talking about there were claims for him maybe to have some 2 or 3 guys for the ministry as CSS, yeah, and maybe some claims like that. But you look at it from that perspective, you realize that this is all politics. Take it, for instance, look at the way Raila came during the 2018 handshake. Yeah? After the deputy president then, our president, ranting, ranting that no, you know, he's killed our agenda. We wanted the big four cannot be realized because of, you know, his coming and he disturbed Mzee Kibaki, even Moi, even all those people. And you realize that this is something that has been there. And these politicians from Kenya Kwanza who are arguing like that, of course, have got an input of why they are saying that. Probably they are drawing from the previous experiences, and that could be the case. Even as Raila maintains a brave face and say, no, you know, I'm not interested to join government. Yeah, but he's a politician, my friend. He has a stomach that needs to be fed. And so therefore, how do you want him to stand in solidarity with his supporters so that he doesn't...
He has to have something to give them.
Of course, it doesn't look like he's been bought. So you look at it from that perspective alone. You realize that this is a perpetual circle. This is something that has been there. Just by saying that, you remember even before joining the former President Kenyatta, he used to say that, no, I'm not interested. I'm not joining the government. We have to checkmate this government. Yeah, but when it was brought in, of course, it ruffled the feathers. Yeah, and they didn't really augur too well with some of his followers. But what could they do? Come 2022, they supported him, and he knows that he has got how do we call that following? Like a religious following.
Cultic.
That cultic following, yeah. So you look at it from that perspective and say that they are not really, Raila is just, his sentiments on I'm not interested in joining government is just to keep his members, his supporters busy and understand, oh, mzee amekataa. But we know very well, we know by tracing, you know, if you want to look at something, get back to history and get to see what happened in such scenarios. This might not be a different one for that matter.
Okay, we've also had echoes. You know, Mheshimiwa Raila went to the streets and he said, you know, if they don't play game or if they don't play this well, we are going back to the streets. Do you think that it is possible to go back to Maandamano?
You know, the issues that went back to aggravated, Maandamano. You talk about 2 issues. Number one, of course, the audit of the 2022 elections, and number 2, the cost of living. The critical bits that have been removed in this discussion.
From the conversation.
So what will he tell people? That's the question. And so Kenyans are even fatigued, by the way, for them to go back to Maandamano. They are forgotten. However, he knows, you know, Raila, the Raila we know, knows how to
repackage himself.
And can come out like another animal. You know, you know what the name Agwamba means? Yeah?
Mysterious.
Yeah, he can come out in a mysterious way and play with the gallery and ensure that the followers, the fanatics, play with his gallery. And of course, they will have to go back to the streets, which will require efforts, other input from outside the territorial boundaries of Kenya.
What-
And that can have, of course, a bearing with the politics that we have. Because already by Mheshimiwa Rigathi insisting that no, over my dead body, you can't join government, it means that he's reading something, and he knows Raila very well, that if he comes, he's done. Like just like the way when he went back to shake hands with Uhuru, President Ruto had to chart his own path. Yes.
What are the possible outcomes of this conversation, national discussion, with these discussions getting really heated from the outside rather than from the inside? What do you see as the possible outcomes for us?
Two things. Number one, you're talking about a situation whereby when they come out, probably they will agree on some critical bits. If there were 10, 15 agenda that were to be discussed, they will have to look at those that are within the confines of what they feel should be discussed. Because even we realize the side of Azimio has not complained they have not complained about the issue of cost of living. They have not complained about IEBC. They say they agree. Even as there's another bit that they wanted to introduce, but they say there's no problem. It can be discussed. When you look at the sides of, if you look at Mheshimiwa Kimani Ichung'wah critically, even with the way he talks from two sides of his mouth.
Of the mouth, yeah.
And that portrays insincerity in general. You know, we have been with them and we have really discussed with them on a number of issues, and you realize that the way he can bring out this thing can be that which we were talking earlier about, our elder brother has told us this, and we are here, we have the interests of Kenyans at heart, but go back. You realize that the lieutenants are doing against what they agreed. So two things. Number one, I've said that you talk about this team coming out and probably focusing on those issues and coming out with a report that we realize that we need to touch on this and that. But this will be detrimental to the future of Kalonzo Musyoka. They might fall into disarray, disagreement, and everything just goes parallel as we have seen it, and they resort back to Mandamano, which will call for efforts from even the external community, the international community to intervene.
Talking of the international community, there's a diplomat who was very clear, very, very clear that last year's elections were the best managed elections, and she said there was nothing to complain about, was given a clean bill of health, and Mheshimiwa Raila was very irritated and was very bashful. He was completely he just went out and out and basically ridiculed her in short. What is the role of the international community in all this?
My view is that the international community has a responsibility. Number one, to ensure peace and tranquility and respect for the government of the day. And when they do that, it will mean that it promotes what we call some good relationship, even as they look for opportunities for business with such countries. Because it's a critical phenomenon. You talk about former president, the late Kibaki, heading east. You're talking about Mheshimiwa Kenyatta heading east also, following the footsteps of Mzee Kibaki. And you see our president where he's headed. Probably this has a bearing because that time even the opposition couldn't really complain too much because the East, even Raila has a dalliance to the East. Yeah, and taking that into perspective, you realize the international community has a pivotal role, especially in shaping the politics and trying to sway the feelings of the people and the trust and belief in that country that, of course, your systems are working. Yeah, and albeit challenges, because every other nation has got its own challenges.
So was this comment partisan?
My view, I feel like it was a general comment. It was a general comment.
But so then why was there such irritation?
That did not augur too well with Azimio. Because remember, Azimio, they are already wounded. They feel like something is not well. Something is not really coming up well with them. And that's why they have been on the road. And that's why they have been pushing for the agenda for change for this country, as they say. But the other side is happy. No, 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 no. The international community has sent here very serious people. If it is working for you, why won't you be happy? If it is not, it is okay. Kesi baadaye. And that's the argument. So I feel like it was a general comment, but did not really go down too well with the it's like any other person, even in the family. Yeah, maybe your son comes and tells you, no, my sister has taken away my bread. No, 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 that was his bread. No, get it back. No, no, why did you give that bread? It's a common thing.
So
but
now,
they are genuine. The international community is genuine in its own
interface with the country.
Yes, yes.
Okay, as we finish, I want you to give us several points on how you think this country can be fixed. Politics, economy, governance. How can we fix this country?
When you talk about politics, number one, it behoves the responsibility of the church. You talk about the political leaders, the key stakeholders that we have, and even the media, to shape the agenda, to ensure that every other person performs or rather does his or her role in the realization of a country that is headed towards the right direction. Because among others, you talk about prosperity, you talk about aspects of even, we're talking about this infrastructural development. How can it occur if there is no peace and tranquility? A critical area that requires that politics, clean politics, takes center stage, with the church really not being bipartisan, but playing a critical role in ensuring that they work towards the realization of the bigger agenda, the common good, as Socrates and Aristotle says. You talk about that. You talk about number two, the governance aspect.
Yes, governance.
That we have this as a critical element. You know, governance. My teacher used to tell me that governance is all about the practices, the common practices that really aim at the common good of each and every other person. Politics, just distribution of resources, equally, and all that. And by that I mean they work hand in hand, because without politics, others like Harold Laswell argue that there could be no governance. So they will have to go in tandem with no complaints. Even in the appointments, they should not be skewed. You know, that's a critical element that has been argued by the opposition. And look at even the appointments. They are very skewed. The serious corporate parastatals and those other organizations. That is for politics, governance,
and economy.
And the economy. The economy.
How do you bring down this price of sugar, petrol, unga? People are wearing sufurias on their heads.
There are legal frameworks. There are legal frameworks. And I believe that any other government that takes leadership, one of the critical things that it takes into account, especially when it comes to campaigns, you realize even in the international world, it is the economy. That people want to improve the standards of living of the people. Because what will be the purpose of the government if it doesn't really focus on improving the lives of the people? In essence, you take power, you govern those people by providing services that are expected of them and distribute them equally. Those three work together. They work together. So with these ones, we have the frameworks, the structures that are there should be given an opportunity. Like now, you talk about even Parliament itself. Yeah, through the legislative pieces that they come up with, they should be given an opportunity to help the bigger picture, because I believe that the president also has economic advisors who can undertake a critical responsibility. We sit back and wait. Yeah, what are they doing? Because even the late Mzee Kibaki was given some time to build the economy. This is something that requires devotion and people being patriotism. Yeah, you know, the essence of patriotism. And of course, focus among leaders so that they are not swayed with their own selfish interests, but aim at working for the common management. Because if we don't do that, then we are doomed. We don't have the purpose, the essence of politics. Because politics, even as it looks at the equal distribution of resources, of who has what, when, why, in what ways, and all to whom, and in what ways, we also need to ask ourselves, what is our responsibility in terms of keeping these guys in check?
Thank you for coming to the studio. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
And we will do this again.
Thank
you for coming. Well, viewers, this has been Crosstalk. We've been talking about the state of the nation, this national dialogue. Are we talking or are we wasting time? My prayer for you is that you will take your place and take your responsibility. When you speak to someone, let it be not negative. Let it not be out of ignorance. Let it be something that is life-giving, edifying, but well-informed with a good attitude. But lastly, we pray for our leaders that we shall find a common place that benefits this country. Till next week, God bless you and have a great week.